Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be discussing The Promised Neverland, Episode 3. I didn't think I would start reviewing these episodes, but I'm having a really decent time with this. It's nuts how crazy this show is, or series is in general. Yeah, so let's just get started. So, where we left off last time was the kids were trying to figure out a way out, and trying to figure out a way to get rid of everybody out, and figure out the tracking business. And they made a lot of ground in this, but they also lost a lot of ground, because at the end of the last episode, they introduced a new character, Sister Crone, and ooh boy, she's creepy. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. I have a bullet point here, and I'm just going to go down the list of all the things that I want to talk about. So first of all, we'll start off with Sister Crone. She is creepy. We thought Mom or Isabella was creepy. Sister Crone is nuts. She is nuts. She's got this creepy doll that she talks to, and she like, even when she's trying to be nice or like disguised as like, oh, she's just a nice little like nurse lady person, she's still got a creepy face on. And most of the kids don't see it, but as the viewer that knows what's going on, and knowing that Emma, Norman, and Ray know what's going on, woo, it is freaky as hell. It is so creepy. There was a segment in the episode where they basically are training the kids subconsciously to run away from the farm, and they're teaching them through hide and seek, because none of them can get away from Norman, because Norman's super smart. So they're training him. They're training him to get away from him, but really they're training the kids to get away from the adults and the farm in general. So that's, first of all, I want to just say that very smart on Emma and Norman and Ray's part, because that's like, as an 11-year-old, I would never have thought of that. There's no wonder that they are the smartest kids at the farm house. So anyways, they're playing tag, and then Sister Crone joins, and she's like, okay, I'll be it. You all run away, and I'll come after you. And she does this, like, T-1000 from Terminator run, and she just starts hauling ass, and it's terrifying. She starts catching kids left and right, and there's some really good parts where she's chasing Emma, and she's obviously very smart, because she used at one point a bunch of leaves that she punched holes out of with little shapes, hearts and diamonds and all kind of stuff, and she used that to distract some of the kids and get their attention, to bring them all in, and then she could grab them all up and get them out of the game. There was a part, like I said, with Emma, where Emma ended up needing to grab a couple of kids and just run as Sister Crone's chasing after her, and it's really scary, because at one, like, she almost gets away, but then Sister Crone shows up, and like, they're hiding behind a pillar of like stone, a rock or whatever, and Sister Stone's talking, and then suddenly it goes quiet, and Emma looks up, and she's there, and she's got her creepy face. And I think part of this is showing that, like, Norman and Ray are really, really smart, because if she's that crazy and like out there and like can catch all these kids and even outsmart Emma to some degree, Ray and Norman, because they didn't get tagged, they actually outlasted her, and that's crazy. But yeah, as long as we're still talking about Sister Crone, let's talk about her and Mom, or Isabella's relationship, because it's a little weird. Mom, Isabella, basically brought her in just to have an extra pair of eyes, but Mom basically knows that it's probably Ray, Emma, and Norman that saw what happened. She realizes that maybe they are the smartest of the group, they are the oldest, and they probably have a good idea, especially after their interactions the last couple episodes. Sister Crone is like, why don't we tell them? Why don't we just throw them in, though? We'll send them right away. But I kind of, to both the kids' benefit and I guess Mom's benefit, she wants to do it normally. She wants to just send them on their way when it's their time, and that way she can look really good when she sends some really good people, really good food or whatever to the monsters, because then she looks like she's doing well. Because then she looks like she's doing a really good job, and the kids didn't even know, and she doesn't want to be thrown in for that, because then even if she sends them, she could still get in trouble for having somebody catch her. So they have a little bit of a dispute there, but like very quickly Sister Crone is kind of put in her place, but she wants to be a mom herself. So that shows that there's kind of a hierarchy in the system. I'm gonna touch a little bit on the overarching system in general, but she wants to be a mom herself, and she's hoping to take over this house, basically. So there's a little bit of a headbutting going on, whether it's up front or not, so far between her and Mom, or Isabella. So let's continue on with the whole system. It is revealed that there are multiple farms, not just this one. There's not just a couple. There's a whole system of them, and that shows that maybe, like, it makes me wonder: is there a government or something that is going on where maybe they made a deal or something like that, and the rest of the world is untouched, or is it the monsters took over the entire world and everything is like this, and it's just a cattle farm everywhere? It's really weird. I'm very, very interested to see what goes on in the outside world. It's crazy to think that, like, adults would be willing to feed children to these giant monsters just so that they could save their own skin. What happened to the men in the system? Are they dead? Or, I mean, somebody's got to be making these babies, I guess, right? But yeah, so there's multiple farms, and at the top of these farms there is a boss, and the moms have to report in regularly to these bosses, or the monsters in general, to just update them. Is anything wrong? Is anything going well? Whatever. Has anything changed? And obviously Mom doesn't want them knowing that some of the kids might know what's going on. So she kind of lies to them. And then we get a shot of the monsters in a table that they're talking to Mom, and there was a moment. Okay, so when she's talking to the boss, or not the boss, but like a higher up, it's a woman's voice. But then when we cut to the monsters, which is apparently who she was talking to, it's just a bunch of monsters, and it's like a man's voice, or a monster's voice, I guess. I'm wondering if maybe she doesn't fully realize that she's talking to a monster at that point, or maybe it's like it's disguised so that if somebody overhears, they don't realize, oh, it's like a monster. I don't know. But they're at a table, and they're hearing that, like, the kids that Mom has been putting out have been real good, and the boss is going to be happy that nothing's going wrong, and that she's got a few really good prime cuts, as they would say, I guess, coming out soon, relatively. And so they're happy. And yeah, so that's kind of an interesting look into some of the inner workings of the system of the farm and this whole crazy, awful thing. Okay, so we also, one more thing that we got a little bit more headway on as far as information, is that we learned where they got their trackers placed in, and they were trying to figure out, and they realized that at the end of the last episode, Sister Crone showed up with a baby, and while on them there was no signs of scarring or whatever, like there's no bumps or whatever, they don't know where there could possibly be a tracker. But maybe on the baby there's some sort of sign, and Emma kind of checks over the baby and realizes that they must all have it in their ear, because the baby has this weird bump. And I think she said that, like, it was explained that, like, they got blood drawn or something like that, or they had, like, an injection or something like that, and that was why everybody had a bump or whatever. But that's not the case. That's probably the tracker, and then the ear, your body grows, and the tracker stays the same smallness, and it just kind of disappears. So now they know where it is, and they're trying to figure out how it works. And I think Ray says that maybe it's like a signal rather than like an actual thing that's like I don't know exactly what I don't know, but it's more of like a radio signal, so it doesn't necessarily go off. It doesn't show necessarily who they are, or whether they're like out of bounds or whatever. But if it gets destroyed or there's something goes on, it might set it off in some capacity, and that way mom would know that they are trying to escape. So they want to escape after they want to escape and then take the signal things out of their ears. And that's a trouble thing, because if they escape, then mom and Sister Crone will know, and they might notify the monsters, and then the monsters will come after them. So what do they do with that? I think it was lightly implied that they might have to kill mom and Sister Crone, and maybe they will. One thing I will say about that is I hope that... Okay, so two things. One, they are still children. I don't want to see them suddenly become bloodthirsty, like killers, and they just become like whatever. I want them to stay kids to some degree, and I think that is a huge point of this series, is that they are kids in extraordinary circumstances, and they need to kind of they need to navigate this very carefully, because they don't have any power really, and I think that's what makes this so interesting. And another thing is, at some point, if and when they do get out, I hope it doesn't suddenly become like, oh, well, again, like they're like super powered, and or they have all kinds of weaponry and whatever. I want the fear of the monsters to stay in place, and the fear of the adults, I guess, to stay in place to some degree. They need to stay kids to some degree throughout the series in order for this to stay interesting. That's my opinion. Maybe somebody else doesn't mind if they become suddenly like badass or whatever, but I don't know. That's my take on that. Okay, so the final thing I wanted to talk about from this episode, there was a lot to talk about, but the final thing I wanted to talk about is they know mom is obviously watching out for them, and they have a feeling that mom knows that it's them, and they know that Sister Crone's there too now, so that's even tough. But when they're both not around, how does mom know what's going on? There's no surveillance system or anything. So how is it possible that how is it possible for them to be able to sneak around and not get caught or whatever? And their answer that they've come to is that maybe there's a traitor in the kids group, and that knows, maybe doesn't know all of it, but like knows and is keeping an eye on and basically snitching to mom and Sister Crone. And it's implied heavily that it's the girl with the glasses, but I think that might be a red herring. I think maybe she's just like noticing that something's weird and whatever, and maybe she'll get shipped off and they'll be like, oh my god, we don't know who it is now. And I think maybe they're kind of thinking it might be her, but again, I think it might be a red herring, that it probably is not her. But yeah, this episode is crazy. The whole hide and seek scene was just terrifying. I got chills up my spine from Sister Crone just speed running it, and I thought it was great. The last 3 episodes have been awesome. I hope it keeps up. I'm very interested to see where things go. Yeah, I love The Promised Neverland. 3 episodes in, and I'm hooked. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. What do you guys think of the series? What did you think about this episode? Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And remember to subscribe and hit the bell so that you can get all kinds of notifications about my videos coming out to you. I will see you guys in another video, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.